Okay, today I'm going to walk you through my Swell Maps and related record collection. It's far from complete, but there's quite a few in there. So I'm going to talk you through the trip to Marineville. This is I purchased this in the 70s, so it's probably the original release. And got this one, Jane from Occupied Europe, around the same time, 1980, whenever it came out. So these are they're two official LP releases. They're great, excellent albums. I recommend you get both. Not long after that, they came out with this comp called Collision Time. Got a cute kitty cover. And it's got a bunch of like singles and unreleased stuff. And then here's the double album, which has never been released on CD that I know of. Whatever Happens Next. And it's got a lot of odds and ends. Another comp, Train Out of It. Odds and ends, stuff from singles, B-sides. And another comp, I think it's called International Rescue. Might be colored vinyl, let's see. Yeah, white vinyl. And at that point, I didn't get the other comp that came out on the same label around the same time. Live, I have it on CD. And I do have a lot of Swell Maps on CD, so what you don't see here, I probably have there. And Joe Head, not too long after they broke up, Joe Head came out with Pincer Movement. Pretty crazy LP. And Soundtracks and Heads with their Rain, Rain, Rain single. Rain, 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 Ghost Train. Pretty cool. And the one you don't really hear much about is Richard Earl's Egg Store Ilk. It's hard to see the writing on it, but that one's probably not as easy to get. And then, of course, Nikki Sudden has a much longer history, a lot more releases. His first album, Waiting on Egypt. His second solo, The Bible Belt. And I really happen to like this one. This is the double LP version. I have it on CD too. Nikki Sudden and the French Revolution, Groove. I like most of this. Now we get into, Nikki Sudden, Crown of Thorns. I'm not as familiar with this one. I know I've listened to it, but and then he did a bunch of collaborations. Nikki Sudden and Roland S. Howard. Kiss You Kidnapped Caravan, whatever it is. And The Last Bandits in the World with Johnny Fiend and Simon Carmody. It's actually a pretty good album. And one I liked a lot more than a recent listen was the one with Jeremy Gluck and Roland S. Howard. I Knew Buffalo Bill. Really loved it when it came out. I listened to a CD reissue of it several years ago and wasn't as fun in my memories. And then when we get into the Jacobites, pretty prolific then. This is, I guess, it looks like a 4-song EP. Nikki Sudden and the Jacobites. Texas. Now we get into Nikki Sudden and Dave Coosworth, Jacobites, Robespierre's Velvet Basement. Nikki Sudden, Coosworth, Jacobites, Pin Your Heart to Me. Looks like a single or an EP. Another Nikki and Kuzworth Jacobites. What's it called? Self-titled. Anyway. And Nikki Sudden and Kuzworth Jacobites. This is still sealed. God save us poor sinners. Have not opened it. And it's numbered. It's a limited edition of 173 of 500 copies. Nice. And then this was just thrown in with the Nikki Sudden collection. Jeremy Gluck mini album or EP. And we get into, lastly, the 45s, or the 7-inch records. And this is what started it all. Their first 7-inch. Read about Seymour. And then we have the next one, which is Let's Build a Car. It's got to be almost everyone's favorite. Let's Build a Car, 45. And then this one is the English verse, Real Shocks, 7-inch. And this is the one that came in the trip to Marineville. This has 4 songs on it with the artwork on the picture sleeve. It's a funny comic. Ain't Like Great Kids. At Home with Joe Head. And then another 45. Ammunition Train. Dresden Style. And what would Biggles do in this situation? They ask. And as this is one that took me a while to find back in the day when there was no internet, the phone's Sportsman Band 45, but I finally caught up to it. And funny thing is that when phones got Phone's Be Sportsman Band back together several years ago, he released this 45, which has a great song. I'm the Father of George No Man, and it has some stuff from Swell Maps like Stephen Do, which is one of my favorites. And then I have the one Nikki Sudden 45. I think it was his first. Jacobites Chatterbox. What is this? Teenage Christmas. I'll Care for You. The only Epic soundtrack 7-inch that I have. I have a bunch of his CDs. And then there was also, I found out later on that there was Swell Maps inclusion, like with the phone Sportsman in this Metro Phase. Looks like more of a photocopy cover. Maybe it is. And Steve Treatment has some Swell Mappers on it. And then, of course, you can't miss out on the Cult Figures 45, which is, I believe, basically the Swell Maps alter ego. And here's the other Cult Figures 45, Zip Nolan. And these are pretty entertaining records. These, as you can see, they're in the spirit of Swell Maps. Anyway, I urge you to seek out all this related Swell Map stuff. It's all good. It's all good. And you gotta love the Swell Maps. Thank you.